We're continuing the second half of the first lesson on mad at God. Because people get mad at God, and I want to reiterate that usually the reasons we get mad at God are one of three reasons. Because of sin that we've done that has brought us into harm's way. Second, sins that someone else has done that has brought us into harm's way. And the third, it's really partly the second, but it's because the sin of Adam and Eve that brought us into this world where there is pain, sorrow, and death. I know a lot of people are saying, why would a little 8-year-old have to suffer cancer and die? Because she was born into a world that is dying, where death and pain and sorrow are part of what it is to be alive in this world. But that doesn't make it any easier. But that's a fact. And it's not when you die, it's where you're going when you die that counts. Mm-hmm. Now Job, he's not suffering because of any one of those three. We read last week that he was suffering because God wanted to show Satan that man was worth saving. He said, have you considered my servant Job? Now this presented a real problem for Job. And I want to really stress that because as you read the book and you go through it chapter by chapter, each chapter you find Job's friends reiterating one thing. Job, you're suffering, therefore you sin. You're evil. Repent of that sin. Maybe God will forgive you. Over and over. You know, when this started, Job did not sin. You know, the things that he said and did. And then later it said he didn't sin with his lips. Because God said he was upright and blameless. Not self-righteous. You can't be upright and blameless and be self-righteous. Because he was following the covenant that God had with him. He did what God told him to do. And we read in the scriptures that he sacrificed for the things that he didn't do. So he was in a right relationship with God, and that's what caused him the most pain and caused him to be mad at God. And if you read the entire book, you see he gets progressively madder every time one of his friends speaks. And I hope I never have friends like those. But they would say, Job, you are a sinner. And we read places where he says, show me. Show me, tell me. Show me a time. He's having a problem because his religion is conflicting with the nature of God. He believes, just as his friends did, that if trouble comes to you, it's because God, who's all sovereign, has done that to you because you sinned. where Job gets mad at God. Let's turn to the 27th chapter of Job, verses 1 through 6. And Job again took up his discourse and said, "As God lives, who has taken away my right, and the Almighty, who has made my soul bitter, as long as breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils, my lips will not speak falsehood, my tongue will not utter deceit. Far be it from me to say that you are right. Till I die, I will not put away my integrity from me. I hold fast my righteousness and will not let it go. My heart does not reproach me for any of my days." This is Job. And he's conflicted. He's mad at God because he believes that God has broken the covenant. He is so upset with God. And you read every time that he speaks, you can see the anger coming out. And now he's getting into something he's going to regret because of his anger against God and his denying God's character. You notice in all the things I read there, he never once denied that God was the Almighty, that God was God. He just thought God made a mistake. Or God got angry at him for some unknown reason, and he was upset. He was mad at God. And that is just so sad when things like that happen to people. And we're going to turn over to Job 38. Because this is the setup. He had been saying, "I wish I was dead. God has done all this to me." He accused God of hedging him in. And God did. But the hedge was to protect him, not to hold him. So he's gotten into speaking bad about God. Because when it came to his faith in God, his faith in his religion trumped his faith in God. He trusted what he believed the covenant was, rather than the things that he said about God all the time. He was almighty, he was this, he was that. And he got mad at God because he didn't understand. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Dress for action like a man, I will question you, and you make it known to me." What is Job's sin that he's going to repent for? Speaking words without knowledge. Speaking words without knowledge. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. You're questioning what I do, so surely you understand that. Otherwise, why would you even dare say anything? Or who stretched the line upon it? Or what were its bases sunk, or who laid its cornerstones? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Or who shut in the sea with doors when it burst from the womb? When I made clouds its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling bands, and prescribed limits for it, set bars and doors, and said, thus far shall you come and no farther. Where and here shall your proud ways be stayed. And it goes on for 2 chapters. It goes on and on about, where were you when I did this? Who are you to talk because you don't know? You don't know anything about this world. I understand it because I created it. I did all of that. Now, he goes on. God's already done a pretty good job. We'll go to chapter 40. And he goes, and the Lord said to Job, shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty? He who argues with God, let him answer. How can you really find fault with God? And that's the point. If God is almighty, he can't have a fault. That's where Job made the mistake. He goes, yeah, he's almighty, but then he made a fault. Maybe I didn't understand what he wanted me to do. That would have helped. But his wife didn't help. His 3 friends didn't help. And the young preacher who comes in last didn't help. They all trusted their theology over the almighty, all-loving God. Job goes, then Job answered the Lord and said, behold, I am of small account. What shall I answer you? I lay my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once, and I will not answer. Twice, but I will proceed no further. And then God goes on to do more. In verse 15, he talks about Behemoth. And I'm sorry, I don't care what all of your commentaries say. If you read this, it is not an elephant. I have seen elephants, and their tails are not stiff like cedar. Okay? But if you suspend what you've been told your whole life and listen to what it says, and then go to your grandkids' books and open it up and see that picture of those dinosaurs, and guess what you see? You just had one described to you. And later he talks about Leviathan. Well, that ain't no whale. I don't want to get into a creationist thing, but I will tell you, if you read about Behemoth and Leviathan, and with an honest mind, you open up and you look at the pictures of the sea dinosaurs and things like that, and you go, oh, yeah, I think I see that. We were showing Job that the creation is mighty and powerful and you have no control over it. Turn now to the 42nd chapter of Job. So verse 1 through 6 now. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me which I did not know. Hear, and I will speak. I will question you, and you will make it known to me. I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. I trusted what I heard about you. I trusted what we all said. I trusted our theology. Now I see you. I know who you are now. I know that you're the Almighty, and if you're the Almighty, there's no fault in you. You made everything. And that even in my sad time, all these terrible things, all those terrible, terrible things, there's something more wonderful than I can even understand. Sometimes when you're mad at God because you don't understand. You're seeing things from this side. Faith says, I don't understand, but I trust you. That's faith. Faith says, I don't understand. I did not understand when my wife divorced me. I did not get it. And believe you me, I was mad at me, and I was mad at God, and I was mad at the dog. Just everything. God says, just wait a minute. I'll take care of it, dummy. You just hang on, and I'll take care of it. And he did. When you're mad at God, remember, he's the one who created everything. He's the one that made things. He understands how they work. We don't. We just have to trust God. And that's one of the ways how you get through being mad at God, is realizing who he is and understanding that you don't know. I am not going to go into the people that run a nuclear reactor and say, well, this is what we ought to do. I don't know. And I'm not dumb enough to try to tell them how to do it. And I'm not dumb enough to tell God how to run this world. I'll still say there are things I don't understand. And there's things I don't like. But that's because I'm just a man. I'm not God. If I understood it, I would agree with it. But I don't. So that's the first way of going, I'm mad at God, and this is how you handle it. Next week, we're going to see another man who's mad at God. And his name is Habakkuk. And we're going to look at what he was mad at and how he got over it. And then the next week, we do the negative. You know, there's always got to be a negative. There's always got to be somebody that messed up. So the last one we're going to do, see somebody who was really mad at God. His name was Job. And we're going to see how he handled it. And how we shouldn't handle it. Jonah. I knew when I went past my IT that when that's the wrong thing, I got the word I wanted. We're going to look at Jonah. We don't understand this world. I don't understand. I don't understand how people can be so evil. I don't understand how people can be so unkind and cruel. But I understand that there's a God that forgives, a God that redeems, and a God that lifts up. So if we have anybody here that needs to answer the invitation that they might receive the blessings of God, that they will be forgiven and able to enjoy the blessings of an eternity with a perfect God, they can come up to stand as we sing.